to the bottom of why so many asylum seekers who are given safe haven in our country are linked to heinous crimes. Not all of them, of course, but there is a clear and data proven link there. And people are understandably nervous and they want that information. And it's not unreasonable. And I don't think the police are yet routinely gathering that kind of data in the way that would give policymakers and politicians the best possible a chance of addressing what it may reveal.
Well, we play Russian roulette every day, don't we, with rubber boats coming across the channel. We have no idea who's on those boats. And, even if we said that 90% of those people, possibly even more, mean no harm to anybody, perfectly reasonable, law-abiding folk who just, try to change their life. It's not the way to do it, but that's their intention. I get all of that. We just don't know who the other 10% are. And I think that is a big ask of the British public to take that risk. Put these people in a house just opposite where you live, because they're moving people out of hotels now, and take the risk. We're asking you to take the risk. Who are they? We don't know. Where are they from? We don't know. What's their background? We don't know. They just came from Iran. We're at war with Iran. Is that not a little dangerous? Is that not a bit of a risk? No, it's fine. We are. You're right. And the minute the authorities, the government, I suppose, Isabel, based on what you've just said, the minute they do overtly and publicly announce that there is disproportionality from this cohort in terms of certain crimes, then it makes their job a whole lot harder, doesn't it? Because their defences of not being able to solve immigration rather go out the window, because we'd be in a very obvious public safety sphere.
And look, that is obviously what the authorities are trying to avoid.
Yep.
They know that the UK is a tinderbox at the moment, that feelings are rightly running incredibly high about the stunning generosity with which we welcome in people whose backgrounds and intentions we have zero idea about, and who may or may not behave properly once they get to our country. And, I've done a lot of reporting on this and on the attitudes of these asylum seekers, and including in the migrant camps in Calais and Dunkirk, where most of the people that my investigations have spoken to basically have no idea about Britain. They have no idea what they're coming to. They have no plan of any contribution that they're going to make. They may not wish us ill, but they're certainly not expressing any desire to make a net contribution. And under the circumstances where people are struggling, where hardworking Brits are getting up early, working really long hours for ever diminishing returns, of course they're resentful. Of course they are. When they see people coming in who've paid nothing into the system, being given everything and more for free. And that is why we have such a febrile atmosphere, and why the authorities are so nervous of revealing the ethnicity and asylum seeker status in particular of people linked to wrongdoing.
And is it two-tier policing that we're seeing here, do you think, with Epsom and those kind of cases?
I mean, I think we've got a huge two-tier policing problem across the country. I think we've got a two-tier problem in all sorts of sectors. I'm pretty exercised about the GP that was struck off for asking a woman, a female patient, to remove her veil in an appointment because he repeatedly couldn't understand or hear what she was saying. We can ill afford to lose GPs at this point, never mind on silly points of principle like that. If a doctor can't hear what a patient or a patient's mother is saying, how can they possibly give good treatment? I think this sends out completely the wrong message. And it's, again, just more kind of bending over backwards to accommodate excessive cultural sensitivities that don't actually align with our values in the UK.
A word while you're with us, Isabel. A couple of stories here. Shoplifting surges by 133% in 5 years. I mean, the only thing that surprised me about that is I thought it would be slightly higher, but it's still a jaw-dropping number, 133%. We're almost in that place of decriminalising shoplifting, it seems. Talk, as you will be aware, did that report the other day. Well, of course you're aware of sending people into shops to see how easy it was to walk in and out with produce. unchallenged. I mean, this is just an everyday occurrence. I even saw it myself a couple of weeks ago in my local supermarket. Somebody just
And what did you
out
do?
without paying.
Did you say anything?
No, I did. I actually the guy did a very crafty thing. He was standing on the scanning machine, the self scanner, next to me, and he got out a card. And if I hadn't been looking accidentally in that direction, I would never have seen this. And it was obviously a card that didn't work, and he tapped it on the thing, took it away, put it away, and walked out again. And I didn't think twice about this at first, and I thought, that didn't scan. I know it didn't. There was no bleep. I could see his screen. It didn't say anything. But I was trying to just make head or tail of it. Did he just do that? Have I missed something here? Is there something else? And off he went, and I said to the woman, I said, that guy didn't pay. He just tapped a card, and she went, "Oh, right, okay." And she said something to they often have a little headphone piece going on, and said something. I don't know. I don't think anything happened, because in that time I could see the door. I was quite near the door, and no one got stopped. And I would imagine that kind of stuff is what I saw there was probably quite a well rehearsed method of shoplifting, because it looks to the cameras as if you're paying for something.
Yeah, and I suppose it's quite clever as well, because if you do get stopped, you can say, "Oh, I thought I tapped my card." You can see on your camera, I tapped my card. I'm trying to go through, and in a way, the supermarkets have only themselves to blame for that. They've forced these wretched self-checkout tills on all of us, and that is the price they pay for dramatically reducing their labour costs. I don't really know anyone who prefers using those tills to actually interacting with a human. And there are so many shops now where there's basically not a single human till. So you're forced into that process. But our own research last week that we revealed exclusively on Talk suggests that shoplifters don't have to even bother going through that little choreography. They can just walk out. My colleague Christian Drogan went into 5 or 6 supermarkets with a black rucksack, wearing a hoodie, looking pretty questionable, and was able to fill that rucksack with cheap goods and wasn't stopped by anyone, any member of the public or any security staff in any of the supermarkets. He later put all the goods back again. We didn't steal anything, but it shows just how easy it's become.
Yeah, indeed. Listen, Isabel, thank you for being with us. Always good to hear from you.